I'm that dude. Bet I see you from the top, yeah, real soon. Looking down on the haters that I've been through. Told them I'll see you later, yeah, big truth. I keep a real good pace. Built a big house, damn, look at that place. Up in my mind, cause that's my space. House so big, full of positive things. And I can't be shook, cause I ain't no rook, man, I wrote the book.
Welcome back to another episode of the Monsters of the Gridiron podcast. I got my guys Terry and Walt with me. A lot to discuss, man. It's been a long Thanksgiving weekend, man. We had the Thanksgiving Day game that left a bad taste in all of our mouths. Thank God we had the turkey and the dressing and all that good stuff to get that bad taste out of our mouths. And then we had Friday happening as this is the game that got Matt Eberflus canned ultimately. And then we had today's press conferences, man. A lot was said and a lot to take from there. So, man, a lot to talk about today. So let's just get it started with some pleasantries real quick and let Terry and Walt say what's up.
What's going on, good people? You know, hey, it's Monday and we got a lot to talk about. I'm excited and I can't wait to talk about it. And who better people to talk about Chicago Bears football with y'all fine gentlemen? What about you, Walt?
Yeah, man, it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride from Thursday to now, but you know what? I think we're finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. At least, you know, with Matt Eberflus, he's gone. So, you know, it's like I said, a lot to talk about. But I'm glad you guys are here. I'm glad everyone in the chat is here. And I see Bear Truth and the whole gang are joining in now. So let's get right to it.
Yeah, like you said, a lot to talk about, man. A roller coaster of emotions from this game. So let's just start there, man. Thursday's game against Detroit Lions, the number one team in the NFC. We had a chance to beat these guys. You know, we had a very slow first half of that game offensively, but, you know, the offense picked it up in the second half and gave us a chance to win this game. Unfortunately, coaching failed us yet again in the final seconds of the game. And we didn't get that opportunity to even see if we could have won this game. You know, we could have tied this game at the very least, but I thought that we could have won this game. I'll let you guys talk about the actual game first before I do. Go ahead, Terry.
Yeah, you know what? Just watching that game, you know, I was there with a lot of my family, you know, and I was the only Bears fan in the room, you know what I mean? So it was really difficult to, you know, just to watch that game with family and how it went out. But you hit it right on the head, the mismanagement of the clock. I mean, but the biggest thing for us, one of the things that I like that our new coach mentioned is about the stuff that led up to us, you know, before the last few seconds. But one of the things that I did see is that we definitely got a slow start. And for us to come back from 16 down, if I'm not mistaken,
yep,
that speaks volume. So it lets you know that the team cares and the team is there. But you can't do this day in and day out. You had the number one team in the Eastern Conference on the ropes, and you let them off the hook.
Yep.
What you think, Walt? Because I'm speechless still, but you know, what say you?
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough opening, you know, set up until somewhere around the second quarter. I think that's where we really started turning it around, and then, you know, then we got into second half football, and then we really started firing back with the counter punches and the haymakers, so to speak. And we got it within, you know, 3 points. I mean, the game was within reach, but I mean, I don't know. Defense looked flat the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were giving up. I mean, dealing with guys like Jameer Gibbs, and David Montgomery is hard enough to begin with. But yeah, I don't know. It was tough. And then just to see how it ended, when you're literally screaming at your TV to call a timeout, you know, it's rough. And like you said, Terry, you know, you were the only Bears fan in the room, but I think I don't even know. It was just a hard game to watch. I can't even put it into words anymore.
Yeah.
And even in the moment, I just had nothing else to say. It was just, that was it. It was done.
The end.
Yeah.
And I'm sick of getting the life taken out of me in these games, man. You know, you start low, then you get on a high. You're like, oh, we're going to come back and win this game. Like, we're there. We're right there at the end. And, you know, only to be let down yet again, man. Like, that seems like the theme of this season. You know, it's just been mismanagement by the coaching or bad plays by players. I'll hold some players accountable for some of these losses too. But I think that coaching has to be a lot better. in these games. I thought that, yeah, like Walt said, the defense got off to a very slow start, but they were bending, but they didn't break. We gave up a lot of yardage. We gave up. I think the Lions' time of possession the first half was ridiculous. I think we held the ball for like 6 minutes because our offense couldn't get anything going to start the game. So it was just like 3 and outs is all I want to say we had in the first half of that game. And then, the defense was bending, but they didn't break, man. To say that, that time of possession was so large of a difference that we only gave up 16 points and we were still in the game getting the ball in the second half. So I was happy about that. And to see the offense come out and immediately, start hitting on all cylinders and, the defense continuing to hold as best they can against an offense that's putting up 50 burgers and 40 burgers on teams all year. I thought that was encouraging to see. And what really stood out to me too was the fact that the first half our offense struggled, but in the second half they came out and they were very aggressive the entire second half, and they were putting up points, which helped us to get back into the game. So I love to see the adjustments that Thomas Brown made at halftime to get the offense rolling again. Whatever happened at halftime between him and the players and whatever decisions they made seemed to be working immediately as soon as we got back into the game. So that was encouraging to see. But again, another letdown at the end of the game. I felt like timeout should have been called, just like everyone else did. I just felt like we weren't prepared for the moment. Yet again, we weren't prepared. The players weren't prepared. The coaches weren't prepared. And Matt Eberflus didn't know what to do, and he kind of froze up there. And he just didn't know what to do, and he froze and allowed whatever to happen. I thought Caleb put up a ball that Rome Odunze could have caught if he'd have kept running and located the ball. He absolutely gave us a chance to win the game on that last throw. That doesn't get talked about enough. And it's not on Caleb to call that timeout. It's absolutely on the coach and the coaching staff who says, when the time kept going down, and I noticed that, we were taking too long. At some point, there's something in you that has to hit as a coach and say, you know what, I'm just going to call a timeout, and we're going to get into a good play here or get into our Hail Mary situation. Like, I have to do something. I can't go home with another timeout in my pocket because that's just being a fucking idiot, as I've been all year long. So, and he decided to do that, and ultimately it led to this firing, which is where we can go now, man. So on Friday morning, the Bears did first that they've ever done, and they decided to fire their head coach and Matt Eberflus. They didn't do it gracefully, and as they're taking a lot of heat for allowing Matt Eberflus to go out to his 9 a.m. Press conference, but only to be fired a couple hours later. Hey, but I think it was the right move, of course. Maybe it doesn't look well for the Bears organization on how they did it, but again, they don't have experience in doing this either. So I'm sure that there were a lot of conversations that had to be had in the background because there are some financial implications as well, where the Bears will have to continue to pay Matt Eberflus moving forward. So, but he's out of here, and Thomas Brown is promoted. I don't know how you're feeling about it. It looks like Terry stepped away. Walt, you want to take it over? How you think?
Sure. I did just want to back up real quick. I didn't want to interrupt you there. You're talking about the offense quickly. So I went and pulled up the stats per quarter. And if you're looking at the passing offense, we had 6 yards in the first quarter.
Yeah, it was bad. It was
23
bad
in the second, but then in the third quarter, we almost had 100. We had 99. And then, 90 to begin the game, and the 2 touchdowns came in the fourth quarter too. So it's just that those first 2 quarters, we got to do something there. We have to do something because, 23 yards and 6 isn't going to cut it.
Absolutely not going to cut it.
To go, you were talking about Ryan Poles and how they handled the situation there. I did clip Kevin Warren's response to that very question because they did ask him this morning during the press conference, why did you do what you did on Friday? And, I'm going to share that for you guys right here. It's roughly about a minute, but, I think it just offers an insight into the thinking of the organization. So here we go.
Because I can tell you this, when Coach Eberflus had his press conference, we had not made a final decision. And I think me, I think you know Ryan. I think you know Georgia McCaskey. And I think you know the McCaskey family. If one thing we stand for is family and integrity and doing it the right way. In retrospect, could we have done it better? Absolutely. And I'll be the first one to raise my hand, yes. But during his press conference and even a couple hours later, we had not reached a decision. But on the flip side of it, something that was important to us is that once we reached the decision, we wanted to make sure to talk with Matt about that so he could have the respect to be able to call his family. And I'll say this, one thing that happened, this is the first time, and it happens around the league a lot, where a head coach will find out he's terminated, and he finds out before he's told from the organization. And that's something that we promised that we weren't going to do. So in retrospect, could we have done better? Yes. But we were trying to be respectful, and we did not know our decision when he started his press conference.
You guys are on mute.
Yeah.
Interested.
Yeah.
You guys
So
want to react to that? Yeah.
even during the moment afterwards, and everyone was on Twitter and all these other news outlets crying like, oh well, it looks bad, and this is Matt Eberflus. I think this is Matt Eberflus' press conference, and he has to atone for his sins, so to speak, of the game, and that's all it was. I mean, that may have been his final chance to save his job right there, that 9 a.m. press conference. They could have been looking at it a little bit like, well, I mean, you saw Kevin Warren just said we hadn't made our decision yet, so somebody had a dissenting opinion somewhere. He goes into that a little more in a minute or two, saying there was a debate, right? So obviously somebody wanted to keep him around. And
Yeah.
if you saw the saying, because Ryan Poles goes into, we saw a lot of things being repeated over and over and over again. And that's why we made our decision. Give the guy a chance. You have had some time to sleep on it, take a look at the tape, and then come back, and you're repeating the same answers you did the day before. That's it. I'm done. And that's exactly what they did. And you know what? I'm not going to shed a tear about Matt Eberflus. The guy's making millions of dollars to be an idiot. So, and that's it. He's gone. And we never see him ever again.
Yeah, and they may not have made the decision publicly, but they've made that decision privately. So you could best believe that. That was unexplainable, and it was a coaching debacle at its finest. And so when you see that, and then it doesn't help when you have the announcers and everyone else there that's saying he should be fired. He should be fired. That just everyone else knew it. So it was just a matter of time. And I think Flus even knew it too. So, but you know what? It's the dawn of a new era. I really hope that our new interim president, our interim coach, does exceptionally well, because Eberflus, man, I tell you what, man, for him to have the record that he had and stay on as long as he did, they fired Lovey with a winning record. Let that sink in. So,
yeah, the national narrative after this game was immediately that he should be fired from all of the NFL analysts, former coaches, and former players. And like, it was that egregious, and it was like you're on a national spotlight yet again, and he just froze up in the moment. And this was an opportunity again to beat a team that everyone is already put in the Super Bowl. So it's an epic failure for Matt Eberflus. It was actually a great opportunity for him probably to save his job by beating the Lions and possibly, take care of that momentum into the next 5 games. But again, he froze up and destroyed himself right there. And as Walt just said, I'm not going to cry for him, but I wonder if Ryan Poles did, because Ryan Poles did not look like Ryan Poles in that interview, in that press conference. Something is definitely not connecting between Poles and Kevin Warren. As you can see, Ryan Poles very tight-lipped, and just he didn't seem like himself. He didn't seem happy about what's transpired. So we know that there were some voices in Halas Hall that wanted to keep him on. I'm not sure if those were really voices. It seems more to me like you got to get the approval of the McCaskeys to say, you know what, you can go ahead and fire him. We'll continue to pay him. And if we want to, be the organization, this is something the McCaskeys have never done before. So if they were willing to move forward, I'm sure it took a lot of convincing by Poles and Kevin Warren and whoever else wanted this to actually occur to get the McCaskeys to sign off on that, because I'm sure that they had to sign off on it. But man, we're here now. Moving on from Ryan Poles. I don't know if we want to even talk about what we heard came out of Hallis Hall on that day, as far as Jalen Johnson probably being the catalyst that sparked the firing, because at that point, you've lost the locker room when your leaders are speaking out against you. Once you start to speak, they're saying that this wasn't like a normal end game speech. He was immediately cut off by Jalen Johnson, and then you had some other players chime in and say that they were just tired of losing games in this manner. And they lost games, but losing games in this manner where the players are putting it all on the line and they're bringing the team back, and then head coaching decisions or non-decisions have failed the team. So, which has led to us now with our guy Thomas Brown in the driver's seat, who also had what I thought was a great press conference today. You guys want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, Thomas Brown looked amazing. Actually, from the very first sentence, he was upbeat, and he was in it, so to speak. More so than Matt Eberflus. I felt Eberflus was very robotic in his mannerisms and the way he went about his press conferences. More so near the end, when he knew, I think it was the writing was on the wall. But Thomas Brown is, just a guy who's like, I'm not here for me. I'm here for the team and everyone else. So that's very nice to see. I'm glad to see that Chris Beatty or Betty, or however you pronounce his last name. I know I'm going to butcher it. He got promoted to interim offensive coordinator. Congratulations to him. I'm really excited for Eric Washington to call that defense on Sunday. But flower goes to Thomas Brown. The guy deserves it, and rightfully so. He got the call on Friday, and now we start the Thomas Brown era, and hopefully it's more than 5 games.
Yeah. It was very Mike Tomlin-esque type of interview, and I don't want to compare him to Mike Tomlin, but I can tell you what, you could tell that he demands the leadership and the respect in the locker rooms, and I wouldn't be surprised to see these players play a little bit harder for him, because he definitely preached team, and he preached, the 3 abilities. I looked at his interview and I heard a lot of stuff that he said, and I said he's hitting all the wickets. Yep. But he sounds like he's a younger guy, but he sounds like a no nonsense type of guy that demands a lot of respect in the room, because he's been around. And I like the fact that somebody asked him initially, like, you have been interviewed for a head coaching job. So it's not like it's something new for him. Even though he's never been a head coach, but he's been around for quite some time, and everyone that speaks about him speaks very highly on him. So we're definitely going to see what's going on. I really like his responses. I like the way he worked the room, and he was just as calm, because look, he's in the driver's seat. If you look at the grand scheme of things, he can look at it 2 ways. I got 5 games, and if I don't do well, they're not going to keep me. I got 5 games and I do exceptionally well, then I got a good shot of being the head coach of this football team. So it's a win-win for him. What you think, Samo?
Yeah, I definitely agree with both of you, and I'm just as excited for Eric Washington, as Walt said, in him being promoted to now the defensive play caller, because now we can get some more situational awareness and maybe a little bit more aggressive on defense, which is, I think, what some of these players have been calling for as well. But like you said, Terry, man, he said a lot that just stuck out to me, and I wrote some of it down, like some of his points of emphasis that he said when he spoke to the team, that he presented to them, and just, his philosophies on as a head coach and on football. And the first thing he said was, he wanted to unify the team and told them no more division. Ignore the outside noise, whether good or bad, because there's been a lot of that over this entire season, to be honest. Being a more disciplined football team. We've seen this throughout the year. Throughout the last 3 years, we are not a disciplined football team, and that starts at the top with coaching. So I'm glad that he spoke to that, eliminating pre-snap and post-snap penalties, and he broke those 2 out. Because I thought that was important as well. And he talked about, pre-snap penalties being a lack of focus, as a player, for the players, and the post-snap penalties are more of a lack of attention to detail when it comes to technique. And he says that the coaches are accountable for that. He says they have to coach it better, they have to drill it better, and have to demand that it's done the right way in order to get the proper execution. That spoke to me, man. That was awesome to me. Him saying that he believes in a violent football game. I always say that I want all the players playing aggressively. He says that football is a violent game that rewards those who play the game violently. Physical play at every position is going to be the mentality moving forward. Those three major abilities that you spoke of, Terry, accountability, coachability, and dependability, not only goes for the players, but for the coaches as well. He's saying that they're going to be held accountable to that standard as well, and being resilient. And no matter what happens, and he said that it's not about what happens, it's about how you respond to it. And I thought that was everything he said, man. I was amazed. I know, hearing him speak that way, man, I would have played for him. I would have been ready to run through a wall.
Did you want to suit back up?
Coach up. I'm like, yeah, I want to suit back up. Man, I got your back, coach. Like, come on, let's get it. Like, yeah, because it is important, man. Coaches have to be held accountable as well. And he didn't leave out the fact that they have to be better as coaches as well, man, and making sure that the players are better prepared. And he seemed prepared for the moment, man.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about him being a head coaching candidate, and him having those interviews. I don't know, man. That's probably why he does seem extremely prepared for the moment. And it's like everything seems genuine with him. And natural. He's not out there taking accountability for things just because someone told him to and it doesn't sound right. Matt Eberflus, how he's been doing the past few weeks, he seems like a genuine dude, man. He seems like he gets it, and he just doesn't seem like the moment is going to be too big for him.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really nice. And, you talked about this aggression that he wants on the field. You're going to have that from Thomas Brown. There's a reason I think he has this more so than just his, playing ability. I'll get to that in 1 second, but he's going to have it also in his defensive coordinator too. So if you got the guy calling plays on offense and being a dog, guy calling plays on defense being a dog, it's going to be a mess for the other team. Now, in terms of Thomas Brown, he made one comment I think kind of floated under the radar for most people. They were talking about when he initially got word he was going to take over as interim head coach. He said, "Do I have any obligations right now? Because I still have a flight out at 4:00."
That's right. He said that.
Yeah.
To see my family, and I hadn't seen them in over a month and a half. Yeah. That is probably one of the biggest motivators in his mind to make do. Because if you get that head coaching job at the end of the year, you can bring your family closer. You can spend more time with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of underlying things that are going to drive him to be the best. I mean, Eberflus got complacent. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
He got the goofy haircut. He got the big house with the E on the front.
Got the beard.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
he thought his appearance was going to fool us. But the competence still didn't meet with the appearance. The competence never caught up with the appearance change, I guess.
Right. Right. I'm excited about this team. You know what? I say this, fellas. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears win every last game this year.
That's a tall order. I mean, entirely possible.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, you got to look at it. All right, the debacle that we had, the division games that we played, we should have won. Right. Mm-hmm. So now we got a couple of division games that are in the dome. So the element is not going to be an issue, So I don't know. I just think I think Chicago. I mean, I'm hoping that we go undefeated the rest of the season, but we'll see.
You said that in the group chat, Terry. I was like, Terry tripping. I was like, Terry crazy. But then I had to think about it. I thought about it. I'm like, but like you said, man, we were in all of those games. And right now the 49ers are they're definitely a worse football team than we are on paper, I think. And, they're not – I think that coaching may be equal now. We may be on equal standing as far as coaching is going to go because Kyle Shanahan hasn't done a great job in coaching all of the backups that he's had to coach. And then we have the Seattle Seahawks who – aren't a great team. They're a good NFC team, but they're on a great team. I think they're beatable. And the fact that we get to see the three division teams that we've already played to the final minutes of each game, yet again, is going to give Thomas Brown a great opportunity to show why he's the guy for this job. I feel like And when I thought about it after you said this too, Terry, because those teams are going to make adjustments in order to make sure that they don't have this game as close as it was, the last time we played them. So we get to see the adjustments that Thomas Brown is going to make as well.
Yeah.
Not only offensively but defensively as well with Keith our defensive coordinator. I'm about to say Keith Washington right now.
That's the singer.
Right. That's what I'm like. Yeah, I'm gonna say Keith
Eric Washington.
Eric Washington. Yeah, I don't know why I always want to call him Keith, but yeah, with Eric Washington. So, man, it's a good opportunity for him. Like, this is the slate of games that could actually get him the opportunity to become head coach. Now, if we didn't have such a tough division, which is the toughest, most competitive division in football right now, and if you don't believe that, then I don't know what to tell you, because we have all three of these teams above us are going to the playoffs this year. And that's point blank period. I think they're all going to end up with 10 wins, which would be fucking ridiculous. Yeah. Because we could have also ended up with 10 wins in the same situation. But I think that he has a good opportunity in front of him, seeing that these are the coaches that he'll have to face in the division for the years to come. And if he can hang with these guys, then he can not only hang with them but beat them in the next 3 games, then I don't know how Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren can justify not keeping him on as the head coach,
Yeah, and he would come cheaper.
And he would come a lot cheaper, exactly.
Yeah.
But this is my only fear with this now. I want them to make sure that they allow him to fire whoever he wants to fire. So,
Yeah.
Allow him to make whatever changes he wants to make to his staff, because he had a vision as a head coach when he interviewed for these head coaching roles. When they say when you go in those interviews, you have to present, who you want in each position as your position coaches. And I know, quite frankly, some of these position coaches need to go that are on our team. And we all know who they are. I'm not going to call them out if you guys want to call them out, but we all know who they are. Like, we need to be better at certain positions. Not everyone is coaching DBs. We know our DBs they excel no matter who plays on a weekly basis. We need coaches that are going to be able to do the same at other positions. So that's just my one concern for Thomas Brown. But like you said, Terry, all these games, 5 games, winnable. Yeah. And it starts with this week right here. I think this is a winnable game going out to San Francisco.
Yeah. Well, at least we know the weather's not going to be an issue.
Yeah, Ron Winarski is asking, do the Bears have a shot at the wild card spot? I think they, as of right now, they can get within 7 or 6.
Yeah.
I think those are the only 2 spots they have a shot at right now.
Yeah.
They have a spot chance that someone posted it today on Twitter or X or whatever you guys want to call it, that they do have a chance if they win out and someone else has to lose a couple games, but the Bears have a chance at the 7th seed if we win out.
Yeah,
of course, which would be crazy because the entire NFC North, it looked like, would be in the playoffs at that point in time, which would be insane. Like, I don't think that's ever been heard of or ever done before. So I don't know. I'll check. I'm gonna look at it and see if I see it right now. But I think it's a possibility.
At the beginning of the season, when the Bears was 4-1, they were saying every team in the NFC North was going to the playoffs because that's what it looked like.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's still a possibility, a small possibility, but it still can happen. Like I said in the group chat, I didn't have a chance to put it. I was out, but I think 3 games a minimum. You got to get back to that 7 and 10.
Yep.
And then, if you anything lower than that, Thomas Brown's gone. There's no question.
Yeah.
And anything above that, it all depends. 3 wins, he might get hired. 4 wins is a better chance. 5 wins, he's more than likely staying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. Because Caleb's already comfortable with him. Mm-hmm. The momentum is there. Yeah. And Caleb's been playing lights out. Let's not talk about that. I mean, he got a couple of rookie mistakes here and there, but that's to be expected. If you look at some of these seasoned quarterbacks, some people threw 5 interceptions in a game, and 4 interceptions and all these other. Look what Kirk Cousins just did.
Exactly.
Come on, man.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Yeah, you had Kirk Cousins throwing a bunch. We had Jared Goff threw 5, still won the game somehow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Coaching.
You know,
That's why.
yeah. Well, I think somebody did the math too. If Caleb wants to break 4,000 yards, he has to get like 277 and a half yards a
Yep.
game from now to the end of the season. I mean,
That's
it's
easy.
completely possible.
He's been hitting over
Absolutely.
300 almost every game.
Mhm.
Exactly. So which gives him a buffer. If he gets 300 a couple of these games, and he could absolutely hit that mark. And if Thomas Brown were the offensive coordinator from the beginning of the season, he would have hit that easily. I feel like
I agree.
the
Yeah.
Bears
So
completely botched the hiring for offensive coordinator. I don't know how, but it's just terrible that they chose. And hearing Thomas Brown right now and hearing Shane Waldron for the first 10 weeks or whatever he was doing press conferences, like who would have inspired you? Like if you were interviewing these two guys, who would you have believed in? A little bit more than the
Yeah.
other. Like I mean, it's just like night and day to me. Like I don't know and understand how that decision was made to hire Shane Waldron over Thomas Brown, but it that's what also scares me a little bit about the decision for hiring the next head coach. Are they going to botch this decision the same way? Because obviously it had nothing to do with leadership. It had nothing to do with football acumen, because obviously Thomas Brown has shown us he has a higher football acumen, and he's also shown us that he's a better leader. So then what was the decision based on? Was it based on, we laugh at the same goofy jokes?
No, I think it was based on them saying, okay, we got a new quarterback and we're gonna keep Eberflus just for one more year to see how he pans out with this new quarterback. But I'm gonna have to be honest with you though. If Thomas Brown excels and Caleb Williams excels like he's doing now, you have zero choice but to keep him. And like you mentioned before, Samuel, let him bring his staff in. I mean, he'll probably bring a couple here and there, but you let him bring his staff in and go from there. But I don't like I said, I'm really hoping, I'm really pulling for the guy, man, because he made me a believer. You already said, Samuel, you want to lace your put your shoes, your cleats back on.
Good guy, no man. I was going ready to bust my knee up some more for him, man.
Yeah.
So
man, that's got to count for something, man. And then and if you look at it, if Thomas Brown is hired as our coach, he's going to be in the driver's seat as it relates to draft picks, man, because Carolina's losing, so we got a good draft pick, and with that second round draft pick, that could literally be the first pick in the draft. But then we got our own second round, we got a first rounder. So I mean, he's going to be sitting pretty. If whoever is going to be our new coach, they're going to be sitting pretty, because you still got good wide receivers, you got good running backs, you got an all-around good team. You just needed a coach. So
I do want to pose the question, about possible head coaching candidates in a second. But in terms of Thomas Brown is now in the driver's seat. What do you think his first order of business is in terms of readying this team for the rest of the season? What would you fix if you were in his shoes? In the chat, you can answer that true. So,
Samuel, you don't mind if I answer first, or you want to go?
Yeah, I'm gonna let you go. Go ahead.
I think he's already started. I know he's reached out to every player on the team, no matter who it is, but in particular the captains, and he said, "Hey, let's go to war. Believe in me. I believe in you." Because one of the biggest things that he said that I really like, he said he's not a micromanager. So he's gotten his offensive coordinator and his defensive coordinator together, along with some of his captains, and said, "Hey, let's make this thing work. This can work out for all of us. Let's go make history." And I think he's got people that are ready to jump on the ship with him and sail. And that's the first order of business that he had to do. He had to gain control back in this locker room, and I think he's done that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Terry. I think that's what he said. He said that was the first thing he said. He said, "I want to unify. We got to unify again."
Yeah.
He said, "Unify the team again. No more division." That was the first thing he said that he spoke to the team about.
Yeah.
Let's keep the outside noise outside. He said he even talked to them about having a neighbor. Yeah, having a good neighbor. he's like, I love my neighbor. They're a good neighbor. He's like, but they don't know what's going on in my house.
That's right.
So that was telling them, like, let's stop with all the talking through the media and, you know, divulging what's going on in this locker room to the outside, because that creates the division. That's what chips the armor, you know, and tears us apart. So that he's bringing the team back together.
Yeah.
And he also said that whoever has an idea, he doesn't care who it is. He wants to hear about, if it can make the team better, he wants to hear about it. And that's from coaches and players alike. So he's been taking a lot of input from all the other coaches and, you know, listening to what the other players want to do. And like we said, we know that the defensive players want to play more aggressively, especially in certain situational football. Like on third downs, we don't want to sit back in the zone defense and allow, you know, ourselves to have to cover for 7-8 seconds, and, you know, for the quarterback only to find a hole in the zone and for a guy to, you know, catch the ball and run for a first down. You know, those are things that I think that was irking some of these defensive players. I think that's going to go away going forward. So, and the other thing I think is just being more disciplined. The other thing he talked about, and eliminating the pre-snap and post-snap penalties where we were just beating ourselves. We do that to ourselves way too much, man. Like, we're a good football team. If we eliminated some of the penalties, man, Caleb would have probably 4,000. He'd be even closer to 4,000 yards right now. He would have a lot more passing yards. We'd have a lot more touchdowns and a lot better plays. And he said, like, he didn't put the onus only on the players for these penalties. Like he said, you know, coaching and details have to be better, and they have to demand that those details are adhered to by the players. So I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, how fast this transition goes. If he can get the team to play much better this week. We've seen him do it with the offense. I don't see why we can't see the entire team to jump on board immediately this week. So, you know, those are just some of the things that I feel like he has already said and trying to implement with the team that's going to make this team successful going down the stretch.
Yeah, and, you know, Bear to the Nine says here he made two good points that agreeing with you guys. Says getting the coaching to make sure everyone is accountable, including themselves, and then practicing with a purpose. Two very big things. You know, I don't want to just echo the same mantra here, which is, you are correct. Getting the team together is priority one. Right, day one. Get the team together, get everyone lockstep behind you. After that, though, you got to start looking at what you can do to better the team, and that's protecting Caleb Williams. And that's getting the offensive line back as a position of strength instead of being a position where it's going to come back and then, you know, cut off your hamstring and you're dead. So that would be something I'd look at. Get with Chris Morgan, fire him if you have to. And,
it's coming.
You know, get the room in there to the point where we're not having Larry Bourne forget what's going on, and then the rusher just walks on by and sacks Caleb, which set up the final play of the game.
You know, the one thing that I think is going to help the offensive line is that he's demanding players to play a more violent style of football. You know, because I think we're a little too passive on our offensive line. Like, we play offensive line, they're soft, man. They play it soft. You know, they don't drive guys. They'll hit a guy and they'll double team a guy and they'll just both hold the guy, try to hold the guy up, drive his ass off the ball. Knock him on his ass. We need to see more of that. Like, and I think we'll see more of that, you know, a more violent style, a more physical style of football from our football team. And I think that'll go a long way. That's going to motivate other players to want to get big hits, especially on defense and stuff too. And that's going to scare offensive receivers. They don't want to come across the middle anymore. That's when you start seeing alligator arms or people dropping passes that they would normally catch. So, you know, being aggressive and playing the game physically can go a long way for, like, correcting a lot of different things for this football team, especially because I feel like we have good enough players to win at least these 5 games, like Terry said. We have good enough players. Can we get better at certain on the offensive line? Absolutely. Can we be coached better on the offensive line? Absolutely. But I feel like we have a good enough players to win with right now.
Yeah, and, you know, like you said, Samo and Terry, you want to see that aggression. And we have a lot of guys that are very aggressive players. You know, say what you want about Tyreek Stevenson, the guy is going to come at you 150% of the time. He doesn't care what's going on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For better or worse, he does not give a shit. And
Mhm.
you know this like zone where I'm just going to stand here and watch you catch the ball. It doesn't really play to his strengths, and that's a lot of the other guys too. You know, we got Jonathan Owens is another guy like that who I'm surprised spent the entire season on the bench up until this point.
Yeah.
Kyler Gordon's another one. Guys on the line like Sweat and I think even to an extent, Jervin Dexter and Zach Pickens are guys that are really aggressive, but they're kind of just held back, which is why I'm not a fan of DeMarcus Walker. I mean, I think the guy's okay, but he's pretty passive when when the horn blows and we're actually in the thick of it. So that's one thing we'll have to look at. But hypothetically speaking, they don't retain Thomas Brown for whatever reason. Who would you want as a possible candidate or candidates? Or do you have someone already in mind to take over, no matter what the cost would be? I mean,
I don't know. Go ahead, Terry.
Oh man. Man, there's been a lot of players, a lot of coaches that's been coming up. Even the Notre Dame coach, I think he played for the Bears. Yeah.
Mhm.
But I don't know how much Marcus Freeman has done in the collegiate rank for me to want to give him the driver's seat to be a head coach for the Chicago Bears. Will it be a fairy tale storybook type of story? Yeah, we ain't looking for that. We're looking for a coach that's going to make sure that we need what we need. And quite honestly, a lot of people talked about Johnson from Detroit, right? But he's been an offensive coordinator. Yeah. We don't know how he's going to be as a head coach. See, and so we get tied up in how some other team's offense look or what have you, and think that that's going to be the same type of thing. But keep in mind, if we get somebody like Johnson, right, he's used to being the offensive coordinator in a dome. There's a big difference. Mm-hmm. What's going to happen when you play in Chicago in November, December, January, and the snow? Very perfect example. Yesterday, San Francisco played Buffalo. Buffalo, like hell, we used to playing in the snow, and San Francisco was sliding all over the place.
They ran right through.
You know what I mean? So they were used to that. Those are some of the things that you got to take into account when you getting a offensive coordinator to become the head coach who look really good for that team because they're in a dome. So that's why when people ask about a coach, I'm gonna wait and see, man. Quite honestly, I don't even know exactly who we want, but I'm really pulling for Brown because if he excels, you got your coach.
Yeah, I mean, to your point about the San Francisco game, Chris Victoria brought up an answer to that. He says, "What about Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator from the Buffalo Bills? We all saw what he did last night against the Niners."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but look what he did in Carolina.
Yep, then they lose to Carolina. So, hey, all of these offensive coordinators scare me, like you said, Terry. Like I don't, because we've seen it happen twice to us. We got Matt Nagy, thought that he was the next hot coach, and he gave us a few weeks of trick plays, and then the league figured us out, and we couldn't score. We make it to the playoffs, and we couldn't score in the playoffs, which the double doink did us in.
Oh my God.
And then we had who was the other offensive coordinator? We had Trestman, yeah, offensive coordinator who came in and never panned out. With Trestman also coached. It was a head coach in the Canadian Football League, and it still didn't pan out.
Montreal Alouettes, to be exact.
Yeah, Montreal Alouettes. Like I think he took them to some championships too.
He
but
did like 4 or 5 of them. Yeah.
Just wasn't a leader of men though, man. He couldn't cut it here in the NFL. So that scares me. And the same thing with Ben Johnson right now. That's what you were talking about. We've seen Ben Johnson put up hella points on teams, man. Like you said, that's in a dome for one. And for two, that's also with the best offensive line in football. We haven't seen him do this with a struggling offensive line. So we're not going to fix this offensive line in 1 year per se. I think the offensive line could be much better in 1 year, but I'm not sure that Ryan Poles is going to do what it takes. I don't have much confidence in Ryan Poles, bringing in 3 new offensive linemen to fix the line in 1 year. Could it happen? Possibly.
Possible.
depending on the coach, and if that head coach demands that from Ryan Poles, like, hey, we need to fix this shit right now, then maybe he'll do that, And I think it's very possible, like you said, Terry. But if that doesn't happen, though, can Ben Johnson take this team right now and score the 21-20? What's Thomas Brown averaging now? About 21, 23 points a game?
Probably a little bit more than that.
Maybe even more than that, exactly. So I don't know if Ben Johnson will be a better offensive coordinator for this team right now. Because I haven't, and I don't know that because I haven't seen him have to do that with a bad offensive line. He doesn't have the great position players that we have. I think that would be an upgrade. Maybe some of the position players that we have at wide receiver and tight end is probably about even, but I don't know, man. I'm just not sold on him. But one name that keeps coming up to is Kyle Shanahan, him possibly being fired. We don't know that he's going to be fired, but that's also a failure out there in San Francisco. Do we want to bring in a coach that failed in what was it? He failed in the Super Bowl, allowed a team to come back on him in the Super Bowl when he was in Atlanta, took this job here in San Francisco, and they've been underwhelming the entire year.
Mm-hmm.
They did deliver, like they have a Super Bowl team, and they paid players, they've drafted players, they have a Super Bowl team, and he still couldn't get them there. So that's something to consider as well. So at this point, I just don't know who. And I've heard things about the Oregon head coach. I just don't know, man. I just don't know right now. I haven't did that deep dive. I'm not even ready to begin to do that deep dive. I just hope that the Bears, because we can't get all the information anyway, so it really doesn't matter. We thought Shane Waldron was going to be a damn good coach, right? When we thought we're not privy to all the extra information, and we're not able to do the due diligence that we're hoping that the Bears will do this time around, because they don't typically do well in their due diligence to know who they're actually getting. They get duped a lot. So I'm just praying that they do their due diligence and not just the head coaching hire, as Kevin Warren said in the press conference, all of the coaching hires are important, like all the position coaches. So.
Yeah, I think there's more people than I thought would actually be against Ben Johnson. JTK says, I'm not too excited for Ben Johnson. Who's the supporting cast? Well, JTK, Don Burr is here tonight. Maybe he can answer some of those questions for you. Because unfortunately, I don't know at this point. I think he's a good, young offensive mind. But like you said, we don't know what he's going to do here in Chicago. We don't know what he's going to do with the extra responsibilities added onto the job. Is he going to crumble, or is he going to be, is he become the Phoenix and actually, rise above everything? So that's the big question. I know some people brought up Mike Vrabel from the Tennessee Titans. There's a lot of question marks with him. Is he going to give the freedom to his offensive coordinator to make the calls, or is he going to try to micromanage just like Flus did? We saw it didn't work before. But, I wouldn't put it past the Bears trying to do it again. There's been some talk of possibly Bill Belichick too, which I think he's done coaching personally.
And Rex Ryan.
Yeah, Rex Ryan too.
I want no parts of either one of those guys. But you brought up a good point, though. Something you just said. Offensive versus defensive head coach. I think it's extremely important that we get an offensive-minded head coach, because the continuity and on offense, I think, is going to be extremely important to the success of this team moving forward with Caleb Williams at the helm. Like, we can't afford to bring in a new offensive coordinator, him to have a hell of a lot of success with Caleb Williams, and then leave the next year. Like, we can't afford for that to happen at all. Yeah. And it could possibly happen. And because that risk is there, you have to get an offensive-minded head coach, because that risk is there. Just like we took the chance with, taking the chance with bringing and keeping Matt Eberflus, and we risked that he might not, be able to cut the cheese, and he wasn't. Now we're in this situation again. We don't want to take that chance again of not hiring an offensive-minded coach, because offense is harder to coach than defense too, and we see that over the league. Like, you have to be detailed. You have to be you have to be creative. There's so much that goes into having a good offense. It's harder to have a good offense than it is to have a good defense. You can draft good players on defense and put them with an average defensive coordinator, and then they're going to be a pretty good defense. So offense is where I think it is. This is the offensive league right now. Like, I think that's going to speak a lot to me. I know they want a leader of men, but I hope that leader is an offensive leader of men. That's what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100% there. I think the way of the defensive coach is, 10, 15 years in the past now. It seems that they're making it a lot easier to put up those big offensive numbers the way they're changing the rules now. We're seeing a lot of, discrepancies with pass interference, what is, what isn't, which is just making throwing the ball a lot easier. And they're an entertainment company, so they want to put up, these big highlight plays. Like, nobody really wants to watch a slugfest in the trenches. It's great. I'd love to watch it personally, but the average Joe Schmo fan wants to see those big touchdowns and those long throws and runs. So the NFL is going to do whatever it can to make that possible. And you need a mind in there to be able to create, like you said, Samo, because coaching offense is a hell of a lot harder than defense, to create those necessary schemes and plays to make that happen.
Yeah, and we talk about offense coordinator with Thomas Brown. He's only 38. You getting this young man at his prime. So if he excels, you could keep him around, because the longest Bear coach that we had, I don't even know who it was. We have to go back. I don't even know if we were born.
Yeah, we weren't probably.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure we weren't born.
Yeah, so I think if he can, you can't evaluate. And the thing about it, you can't evaluate Thomas Brown on these 5 games. That's not fair to him, right? So you can evaluate him on these last 8 games, though, because you look at the 3 weeks that Caleb Williams has been excelling these last 3 weeks when he took over as a play call. So you can give him 8 weeks, because if your quarterback, I think he goes with Caleb Williams, how Caleb Williams go. If Caleb is excelling and the Bears still lose a game or 2, then you got to be like, wow,
I agree.
Our quarterback loves him, and we didn't give him a fair shake, so you got to take all those things into consideration, because who else is out there that you just dying to scream over to say, hey, we got to have this particular head coach? You know what I mean? It's like I don't want Rex Ryan.
No.
I don't know. I don't want any of those guys. Like we talked about before. So everyone's trying to get younger, quote unquote, right?
Exactly.
He's 38. He can relate to these players. If he's 38, right? He's probably the same age as or close to, like, what Caleb's 21, 22?
He's 23.
23. That can be his big brother. You know what I mean? But you look up to people that can relate to you and things like that. So,
he's the same age as Ben Johnson too.
And he's a former player at that. And to your point, Terry, like this, we can't really judge him on this either, because this isn't his offense. He's still running Shane Waldron's offense. He said that in his opening press conference that, he doesn't have time to reinvent the wheel. Will he have done some things differently? Absolutely, but it's not about him right now. He understands the assignment. It's about getting this offense to play more efficiently as quickly as possible, and that's what he's been able to do. And he understands. He's talked about even understanding that it's not about what he wants to run. It's about the players that he has. Yeah, and making put them in position to be successful and what they're comfortable with and doing. So, like, man, he's saying all the right things, which tells me he understands it. Now he just has to execute.
Those first 15 plays are going to be huge. Those scripted plays, they're going to be huge.
Yep.
Yeah. There is a really interesting story rolling around, that possibility of Lincoln Riley coming out of USC.
Oh,
I don't see it happening personally, but it would be really interesting to see.
I did see that.
I can see that happening too. I can definitely see that happening. But what did they win at USC?
Nothing.
Exactly. What did Lincoln Riley win at? Where was he? Texas Tech.
Was it? I thought it was Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. You're right. Oklahoma. I'm thinking about Patty Mahomes at Oklahoma. He won nothing. Like, he's not a proven head coach. And I don't think that he didn't win at the college ranks, against lower competition. I don't think that you elevate this guy right now.
Wasn't Wisenhunt in the
Kent Wizard Hunt?
yeah, but didn't they mention his name as well?
Maybe.
I think so.
Yeah.
There was a couple things floating around. There was Riley, Wisenhunt, and I think somebody talked about Ryan Day from Ohio State.
Ryan
Not
Day.
to the
I can see
Bears, but
Ryan Day.
just making the jump to the NFL.
I can see Ryan Day before I see Lincoln Riley.
You think
Yeah.
so?
Yeah, I can see Ryan Day before Lincoln Riley for sure. But Ryan Day is, yeah, and he may be on his way out of Ohio State too because
Yeah.
they can't figure out Michigan. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
Michigan's
you
having
can't
an
beat
off
your
year, too.
rivals. Yeah,
What a game, man! What a
yeah, that
game!
was, right.
So
But
I know Monday Night Football is just starting up, so we'll kind of get wrapping it up here just a minute. But we do have two saved questions. Romanarski asked a little while ago. He says, "Any good linemen coming up in the draft? Do you have anyone you want to talk about yet, guys?"
Yeah, well, they got to. I seen one of the linemen from Texas. I think that's the kid that's from out of Texas. He is absolutely a beast. Now I don't know if he's going to be there depending on the draft, but they had 2 or 3 linemen that they keep mentioning. But there are some real good linemen. But I'll tell you what, I don't know who's on the call here that's going to be going to the Senior Bowl, but I'm definitely going to be covering the Senior Bowl this year, like last year, and the it was a Shrine Bowl in Texas. So I'm going to go to both of them. And scout too, and look like I did last year. So there's a lot of good people that we missed on, in particular in the Senior Bowl, that we should have had a better look at.
Yeah, no, the Shrine Bowl's got 2 of my favorite pass rushers going there. The guys out of LSU, Swinson and Jones. Love to see those guys play. They're monsters out of there, so they're definitely on my list. In terms of linemen, there's a lot of guys that we just don't talk about. George has got a bunch, all 3 of the interior positions. If you really want to dive into a couple players, look up Addison West of Western Michigan.
Yeah.
The guard, Jacob Gardner of Colorado State, center. And I'm trying to think who else. I had a couple other guys, even like guys like Miles Frazier from LSU.
I was about to say they got the kid from LSU. I was about to say that too. Not bad, and I think there's another. Is it Alabama or is it Texas?
Alabama's got Texas A&M has a really good guard too.
Yeah,
both Alabama and Texas A&M.
Yeah,
both have really good guys. I've been following Jacob Gardner really closely because I'm not really sold on Parker from Alabama. I think he'll be fine in the right scheme, but I don't know if he fits us. But this kid has been great, and I know it's just a small school and the competition isn't as high, but find the game Colorado State versus Ohio State and watch him work against top competition, and then try to find some.
Draft the entire Texas line because they're big. They're huge, man.
Yeah,
huge guys. Yeah, to your point, that was Cameron Williams was the guy. I just looked up his name. I had looked at him the other day too a little bit, and he is huge. I'm going to tell you his measurements in a second because I'm looking at Will Campbell. Is the touted as the top offensive tackle right now as it stands coming out of LSU. He's 6'6", 319. But the guy that you're speaking about is Cameron Williams, and I just saw his measurements. I think I want to say he's 335 pounds, 6'5", 335. Yeah, so he's a huge guy. It depends on we don't know what style of offense we're going to be running next year. Mm-hmm. So it's like that guy. He might be too big to play for us at 6'5", 335 because we need guys to move like Braxton Jones can move too. Is he going to be able to move like Braxton Jones can move and get those downfield blocks? So depends on what imprint Thomas Jones or whoever else is going to be the offensive coordinator decides to put it on this team. It will decide how big our offensive lineman will be. I want the big guys. I want some big guys. I want some big guys that can move
big
bodies.
Heavies.
I want the big heavies. I want them to be able.
Right.
I want guys that can move bodies. Enough of this finesse and all of that. Let's just get up and push people and knock them on their ass and get some pancakes, like Cliff Victoria said in the chat earlier. So, but I haven't done a deep dive. I know Walt's been doing a deep dive into all of the players and offensive linemen, especially. But I'm gonna say this: don't be surprised if the first overall pick in this draft is not the offensive lineman by the Chicago Bears, because I think there are quite a few good tackles that are coming out in this draft.
Oh yeah.
So But
Mhm.
I think that we also have needs on the defensive line as well. So depending on who's available and what position at the position when at the time when we draft, because we're not going to have a top 5 pick. So I think that's out of the question for us this year. So I wouldn't be surprised if we draft a defensive player first. I'm not going to be upset about it either, because I think that I just want them to hit on the players that they pick, as opposed to deciding which order we should be picking players in. So let's not get caught up in that. We just need to look at the position of needs, and we need to hit on the players that we pick. So I think our evaluations need to be a lot more thorough this year. We need to do a lot more due diligence on players. Let's not go out and pick another fucking Velus Jones, a player, or a Tyler Scott. Even like we've missed on wide receivers, and we need wide receivers this year. We have 3 good wide receivers. We're going to have 3 wide receivers on our team after this year. So that's also a position to need. We're going to need 2 safeties next year, because I don't think that they're going to re-sign Kevin Byard. We don't know the future of Jaquan Brisker. So I think, man, we have a lot more needs than we anticipated coming into the season. So, whatever order they decide to pick these players, I'm going to be cool with. I just want them to identify good players. And when we get into the offseason, we'll help you guys identify some of the depth at these different positions in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
And I know you said about re-signing Kevin Byard. I think Byard has another year left on his contract.
He does. I think he does.
He has another year? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So but we still need a successor, though.
You need young,
we need to get younger. So I didn't know he had 2 years. I thought we signed him for 1 year. So that's good to hear. Excuse me.
Yeah. So
hopefully Brisker can come back too.
Yeah. Speaking of Brisker, Beatrice and I brought this up earlier. He says, "What do you fellas think of Brisker's tweet a day after Flus got let go?" He said, "Feels good to be back on grass." Smiley face.
So is Brisker done for the year?
No,
No,
he's not. We don't know why he's being held out so long, but Brisker's been very vocal on Twitter or X, whatever you guys can call it again, about he's been vocal for a long time too. He's been sending like subliminal messages talking about Flus. At one point, I think the first one I saw, he said something like, if you keep doing the same thing, you're gonna go wrong, Slime, or something like that. Like you keep things the same, like you're gonna, and basically saying like if you stay set in your ways, you're gonna fail. That's what he said.
Yeah,
like, being set in your ways, you're gonna fail, Slime. I think that was a direct message after a meeting with the defense and them talking about that was before the Green Bay game. Now that I remember it, because I thought immediately like he was going to try to run with the same game plan that he had ended last year with, as far as how they were going to defend the Packers, and and each week he says something that he's one of the more vocal players about being happy that Flus is gone. So he obviously had a lot of distaste for Matt Eberflus for whatever reason. So we'll see. Like now,
when is he able to come back?
I know they put him out. They put him on IR late, so he was out. He's out for 4 weeks. What was that?
It should be coming up on the 4 weeks pretty soon.
I don't know if it's this week or
he's been out so long. I keep forgetting when they actually put him on IR.
Yeah,
they waited. He was out for like 5 weeks. Then they put him on IR, which was idiotic to me. But
yeah.
See, I like Cliff's mention here. He says about Ashton Gentry. That would be a fun pick for the Bears. I don't see it happening because we have other needs, but just imagine being able to grab somebody like him. I mean, what would you do with Swift? You'd have to get rid of him at that point. But
so can I share a fun fact about Ashton Gentry?
Sure.
All right. So we actually grew up in Italy. We went to the same high school. Actually, I'm a lot older than he is, obviously. But we went to the same high school in Italy, Naples American High School, and his dad and I were Navy Chiefs together in the Navy.
Oh wow! So you were familiar with the family? All the running back families, man.
Hey man, hey, shout out to my nephew Roshan while I'm because I know he probably gonna say something, but shout out to
Roshan, man. Hope he's doing better, man, with the concussion thing. Hopefully he comes out of protocol and he's good to go this week too.
Yeah, we need Roshan back, man. He's got to start taking more of those snaps with Swift.
Yeah, Yeah, especially in between the tackles, man. Like
Mhm.
Swift is good, but he's not what this team needs. Like you said, man, he's not a runner between the tackles. His vision is terrible. That's really what kills me. His vision is terrible, and he just tries to get outside all the time, and he misses opportunities to turn it upfield. So he's been good this year. He's done better as the years goes on, and I think there is a position for him on this team. But I do see us drafting a running back this year. I don't know if we'll have the luxury of drafting Ashton Gentry, but I do see us still drafting a running back this year. And I'm also excited about Ian Willer. Like Ian Willer, I thought, was going to be a special running back for the Bears. I think he can run in between the tackles. He has the speed to get outside of the tackles. But what I was most impressed with was his vision. I thought that he saw holes immediately. He was able to get to those holes and turn the field extremely quickly. I think the Bears got him hurt trying to see what he could do in between the tackles, and he proved that he could, and he just got hurt on a kind of a fluke play. But I'm looking forward to seeing him. I hope that he comes back healthy next year and solidifies himself in this running back room.
Yeah, we definitely drafting a running back.
Mm-hmm.
We have to draft another one. And you know what? What's so crazy? So we're playing against San Francisco. They lost 2 running backs in one game, right? This kid that they got from out of Louisville, he is a burner.
Yep, I wanted him last year.
I'm an ACC guy, so I've seen him play, and the only thing about him is just how durable he's going to be. He's going to be able to take all those hits because he's a small guy too, but he is a burner.
Yep.
He ran a 4.3, I think, in the combine.
Can't hit what you can't catch.
That's
can't
right.
hit what you can't catch.
You get hit. You get hit.
Here you go, guys. Cliff's got it for you. He's eligible to return December 16th.
Man,
that's
he got
a long
some time,
time.
man. He's got we know this 10-day break that we have. Was it a 10-day break that we've had so far?
Yes.
Yeah, so that kind of helps out, I guess. So I guess the next game this is the next game he's eligible?
No, one more game after the next, right?
Yeah, next game would be the 8th.
Which is, I think.
So he'd miss the next 2, actually, because the 16th would be a Monday. So he wouldn't be able to come back until the 22nd at the earliest based on that.
Okay, and that 22nd game, that's I don't know if that's
actually hold on, let me look at that again.
Yeah,
because I think the week of the 16th that we play Monday Night Football, right?
Yeah, we play Minnesota.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he could possibly, maybe, probably not though. More than likely, we're probably.
If he's eligible to return, I mean, he's ready to return. Obviously, if he's tweeting the way that he is, I think that it was more of a precaution for them to sit him out these extra 4 weeks. I think he's a little PO'd about that too. But it seems like just looking at his responses on Twitter, maybe Flukes had a hand in that decision somehow. But
yeah, but
I don't know.
They're looking out for him. You know what I mean? He's gonna think them 10 years from now. I can tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I'm hoping he plays with the extra cushion.
Yeah, he probably will. If he's smart, he would.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Take care of yourself out there, Kwani B.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think the Guardian cap would have saved him from that one, to be honest with you.
That was a big hit.
I heard that one in the stands, man.
Same thing with the Trevor Lawrence hit yesterday. Nothing
oh my God.
That.
Yeah, that was
terrible.
And I don't know how long Lawrence is going to be out, but they may just go ahead and wrap him up for the season, quite honestly, because they're not doing nothing. The Jaguars are done for the season.
Did you see them when they were carting him off and they had the guy behind him kind of like holding him steady?
Yeah, because he was
driving away and he's just like, you had no idea where he was.
Losing.
Yeah, that was
he was
terrible,
definitely losing.
Man. Dirty play.
He had them DUI goggles on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
I
was
don't
out
laugh
there.
about it, but he got smoked.
Yeah.
He did. While sliding too, man. I think the NFL has to do better with that, though, man. They keep saying like these are wide receivers, and once you start running, you're eligible to be hit and all this. Like they got to start protecting the quarterbacks a little bit better, man, when they're running out of the pockets. And these mobile quarterbacks, NFL just hasn't been doing a good job of protecting. Or they're saying like Justin Fields got hit like that all the time.
And
he took that same hit week after week and never got a flag. Yeah. He took that same hit week after week and never got a flag. So, but he didn't.
If you watch it from,
thank God.
If you watch it from the end zone perspective, like behind the back, you can just see him drill him in the face with his shoulder, and then he just whacked off the ground.
Yeah, man, that's
Man.
terrible, man. Oh, shout
But
out to
the
him,
really
man.
scary part was watching him like pump his fist almost 3 times.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
You got numb.
yeah,
Yeah.
they call it fencing. So something happened to the point where his brain got rattled, and like the inner portions of it are all completely malfunctioning now.
Yep, and
So
it says the response to your hands or something to
because
move like
you saw it with Tua, but even on
Yep.
this last injury, he did it once and then that was it.
Yeah.
But you watch Lawrence go up, back, and then up and back again, and it was just nuts.
Yeah, you don't want to see stuff like that, man. Players that do things like that to other players too, man. Like, man, where's your conscience, dog? Like this guy out there trying to play just like you, trying to make a living for himself. You all playing the game together. I know you want to be competitive, man. Play within the limits of the game, man. Don't be out there trying to hurt other guys, man. That shit is whack to me.
Yeah.
Like, man, deliver the blow, but don't go out there trying to hurt guys, going head to shoulders to helmet or elbow and all this shit, hitting guys in their helmet. Like, just lay a big hit and wrap up and get guys to the ground, man, and move on to the next play. And make sure everybody goes home healthy after the end of the game, man. I think that more teams need to, emphasize that. I talked earlier about, playing the game violently and aggressive, but within the confines of the rules, though, man. Let's not go overboard and out there just trying to hurt players.
I definitely agree. And before we sign off, fellas, first, Plank, thank you for knowledge and the service. But it's we can select our Pro Bowl players, so don't forget to make your Pro Bowl selection. Go ahead and throw our Bears, some of our Bears on there because they're going to be in Orlando. So, man, I tell you what, I would love to have y'all fellas come on down for the Pro Bowl, man. Y'all come on down here to Orlando. We'll be good to go. So let me know if you want to come on
makes
down.
a Pro Bowl, we'll make it work.
Yeah, it's in Orlando. You don't have to worry about nothing. As far as like, there's plenty of space, plenty of everything. If y'all willing to come on down or whatever. I live 20 minutes from Camping World.
Absolutely. All right. Yeah. I'll take you up on that, man. That's in what, February?
Yeah, that's in February.
Yeah, we'll definitely get something going.
Discuss that. Yep. Hopefully we get some players in there, man.
Yeah, I'm thinking we may get one or two. Maybe. I don't know
Not
who the two is.
Not the punter.
He's probably going to be one of them, quite honestly. Yeah.
Yep.
It was crazy, man. Just want to thank everyone in the chat for coming out tonight. Plank's here, Cliff. I haven't seen you in a while, but thanks for showing up tonight, man. It's good talking to you again. Even Don Burr, and we have Farius here tonight. Bear Truth 9. Oh, who am I forgetting? Leo Factor showed up for a quick minute and really get a chance to talk to him. J2K, Ron Winowski. Where am I? And I know there's other people out there watching. They don't comment. That's fine. We're just glad you're watching. But if you have a comment, if you got a comment, just come out and say it, man. We'll talk about it. Whatever you want. Anything Bears.
Absolutely. Looking forward to this
predictions for the upcoming game, fellas.
Oh yeah. What do you guys think, Chad? Get some predictions in while we're talking about it here. Niners, Bears. What do you think?
Go ahead, Terry. Let me think about my little score prediction.
I think it's going to be 24-17, Chicago.
I want to say, go ahead, Walt.
I was going to say, now that they lost 2 of their running backs, and you only have Deebo Samuels, I don't even know if they're going to score 17 points. I think it's probably going to be like 32-10 Bears.
Yep, I was going to say 31-17, maybe 31-17. Yeah, because I think our offense is going to explode because 49ers defense is hurt. They don't have their star pass rusher right now. I think Bosa's out. Yep, Nick Bosa's out, and I think we're going to see a motivated team this week, man, against these 49ers. We're going to go to San Francisco, and we're going to stand on business when we get out there. I think these guys are tired of losing. I think they're going to, fight for each other and fight for their new interim head coach, Thomas Brown.
Yeah. We got a couple here. We got, Cliff's got 27-16. Amp's got 27-16. Plank's got 31-14. Bears Media Co. Bears by 3.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a fun game to watch.
It
I like
definitely
it.
is.
I like it.
I just want it to be a win.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, so I think we got Monday Night Football going on. I know you guys want to watch that, so we'll let you all get out of here and do what you got to do. Again, want to thank everyone for showing up. Terry, I want to thank you. Sam, I want to thank you for coming out and talking Bears tonight. It's always a pleasure. The only thing I ask, guys, if you hit the like button, if you haven't done so already, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps us out. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe again. You get all the notifications you can, so you're back here on Monday night and whenever else we put out content. I keep saying I'm going to get to it, and I will. Yeah. Unfortunately, we didn't have Will here tonight. He had a couple things going on, so we missed his, bubbly personality.
Mhm.
Yes, indeed.
So,
Bear down, fellas.
right now, guys, we'll be back here next week to talk 49ers and Chicago Bears post game. Until then, claws up, bear down. You all have a good night.
Bear down.